Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Ski Instructor Podcast, sponsored by Castle Skis. My name's Dave Burrows and I'm the director and owner of SnowPros Ski School based here in Chambéry in Switzerland. I hope you're well. It's a very snowy time here actually in Switzerland at the moment. There's a real weather system gone through and it's gone incredibly cold in the last few weeks or so. Today it's snowing around 5 degrees outside, and I know that it's snowing in Saas-Fee too. Already, and they've actually got, I think as of Monday, their lifts are open all the way down to Morania. So on a glacier that's only about an hour and 3/4 away from me, they're skiing already about 1,000 meters of vertical, which is quite early actually because it's only mid-October. So fair play to them for getting all of that open so early. Here in Switzerland, we have still some sort of coronavirus restrictions, you would say. We've still got masks and stuff inside sort of enclosed spaces, and that's going to be the same for the ski season, actually. So the Swiss Association of Ski Lift Operators have said that the lifts aren't going to close this season, but it's going to be a season with some restrictions. So they're not restricting the number of people on the mountain, but what they are going to do is in enclosed lifts, so things like bubble lifts and telecabines, trains, funiculars, you're going to be obliged to wear a mask in there. Not so much in lift queues. They said that that's at your own discretion, which I think is quite interesting. And that's kind of what our skiing experience is going to be here in Switzerland, I think, for this winter. Along with that, you're probably going to be looking at less international tourist numbers. That seems to be the way it's going to play out now, unless governments of the world get their act together with kind of how their response is to this whole thing. We're at least 6 months into this now. The stats are bearing out where and exactly how dangerous this thing is, and until they sort out this idea that you've got to quarantine on your way into a country, and then when you get back home again, there isn't going to be very much tourism from abroad for a lot of snow sports operators, in resorts that rely on international trade, and some of the reports on the ground that I've heard from some of those people are pretty apocalyptic in terms of booking numbers and that kind of thing. We have quite a lot of bookings from locals, local people that live here, and we're extremely busy in that respect, and there's lots of bookings going into the diary. So there is a thirst for people who want to ski. People are desperate to get out and about and onto the mountain, into the fresh air, but certainly, if you're relying on international business, it's going to be a difficult winter, I think, unless something dramatic changes in the next month or two. This episode, I have an interview with Andy Rose. Andy runs a business called Snow Camp Europe, and he's based in Kaprun. So Andy is now my de facto Austrian correspondent. And in this first half, amongst the chat about cats and dogs, we are going to be talking a lot about the Austrian ski instructor system, how it works and how you go through it. And that's pretty much what we touch on in this first half. So enjoy that, and I will catch you in the middle somewhere. Andy Rose, welcome to the Ski Instructor Podcast. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Dave, and thanks for having me on.
That's all right. It's a pleasure. You're my Austrian correspondent. So that's how I'm regarded.
Hopefully, I'll be able to correspond some Austrian information to you, as long as you don't want me to speak any German.
Well, you're probably better than my German. I'm not very good, but we're both. I don't know. I think give a bit of a background. So I've been today. The reason I'm running late is I've been on my motorbike since about 9 o'clock, and I literally just walked in through the door. We kind of accidentally went much further than we were expecting to. So I was in Megève at 4 o'clock, and we kind of hope there weren't any speed cameras on the way back. And you've been up at your mountain hut cooking for the day, and
I have. And then I came down, I rushed down, got the dog, took her out, And we've got a couple of dry days here in Austria. Therefore, all of the farmers have been cutting their grass, and subsequently they've sprayed all of the cow muck on the fields. And my dog decided to do a dive bomb into a fresh load of dung, which meant I had to bring her back and give her a bath, which wasn't planned into my timings.
No.
Hence, I was happy when you said you were going to be late.
Yeah. The dogs really like baths, in my experience too. Oh my god, I can't imagine.
Oh, I can't actually put her in the bath. I have to do it outside the bath, which then means I have to clean the bathroom.
Yeah.
She inevitably shakes everywhere.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm sat in my apartment with the balcony door open, and I'm not sure if the smell is my dog or the farmer's field outside. I'm probably only going to find out about 11 o'clock tonight when I close the door and go to sleep which one it is.
The thing is, they always look so pleased with themselves, don't they? Like they've rolled in either fox crap or like cow muck or something horrible.
She definitely has a spring in her step. From the moment she's done it, even though I tell her off, she kind of bounces along for the next 15, 20 minutes. And then I think she realises, when I get home, he's going to bathe me. Yeah. And she doesn't really like it.
I remember those days fondly, very fondly. I was out riding today, I was thinking about my dog, my old dog, and like the good times and the fun and stuff that we had together. It's a shame. It's a shame that they have to leave you at some point.
If you ever want to borrow a naughty beagle, then I've got one that's available.
No, I'm all right, actually. I'm all right. It's funny, actually, since my dog passed on, it's we had a cat for the last year, and I hadn't really appreciated the value of cats before. So you kind of get not many, but some of the benefits of pet ownership, but without any of the work involved. You don't have to walk it, you don't have to get up in the middle of the night, you don't have to do that kind of dog walk when it's raining.
I've never thought of it like that, actually.
Pretty good, actually, like as an animal.
Yeah, I'd not thought of that, actually. And you wouldn't have to walk it in the rain. No. There's loads of things you wouldn't have to do.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe cats are the future.
Well, it could be. But the only thing about the cat is, there's something very satisfying about giving a dog like a belly rub. Turns out you can't do that with cats. They don't like it. And so my arms are like in pieces because I always make the mistake of going for its belly and it just scratches and it just like full on attacks me every time I do it. And well, never mind.
Brilliant.
But because this cat that we got, sorry listener, I know we're supposed to be talking about skiing, but this cat that we have is was sort of rescued from when it was 2 months old. There were some people who had it in like a 1-bed apartment on a second floor in Lausanne somewhere. So it was like a city cat. And so now this cat has been transferred to this sort of house on the side of a mountain in Valais. And it's turned into the most like prolific tree climbing killing machine that you've ever seen. It just brings dead stuff like all the time. It's like, look what I've killed tonight. It's ridiculous. It's amazing where it finds all this stuff.
Well, it's funny. I got mine. I bought her some rabbit ears today.
All right.
I think dried rabbit ears, like pig ears.
Yeah.
Because I thought if she kicked off during the recording, then I'd give her a rabbit ear, and then that reminded me about the time she actually caught a rabbit and what she did.
Oh.
And she thought she was the bee's knees that day as well as today with the cow muck.
Right.
Oh, well.
Well, okay, so pet and animal digressions aside, and tangents, of course, are welcome on this podcast, as you will know. You are based in Kaprun in Austria, and I understand that the tourist season has just sort of passed now. There's not. If the area around you looks anything like the area around me, it's just like old hikers now that are left. And that's it.
Exactly. The families with the kids have all gone because I think most of them have started or start school, and we've now got their grandparents who've come, as you say, to hike. So the main summer season has gone, and to be honest, the main summer season was very, very good considering what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Nobody can complain about what trade we had in the summer. And we know it's gone a lot quieter, and give it another 1 or 2 weeks, it'll be pretty much all of the bars and restaurants will shut down for about 6 weeks, some of them for longer, and then we'll be basically preparing for the winter.
Yes. Well, we'll get to that later. What's the winter going to look like? So I'd love to have a chat with you about that, because you're very clued in on what Austrian winter is going to look like, especially in terms of like, you know, lift operations and things like that. So we'll have a chat about that later on. But for those of you that don't know you, you're a ski instructor. You're originally from the UK, but you've been in Austria for what, a decade now? And
8 years. 8
years. Okay, it's almost a decade. And you run your own operation called Snow Camps Europe, which we'll get to later on. But for now, like, what's your sort of story? How did you end up in Austria? How did you end up in Kaprun?
So the ended up in Austria, ended up in Kaprun. I was actually in Austria back in 1988. I worked for a company called Schools Abroad. I was sent over as a ski tech to a place in Upper Austria, and I lived in a village called Windischgarsten, and our ski area was the Wörthal. And I went basically on behalf of Schools Abroad, but to work for the ski school looking after their rental as a ski tech. And at that time, I think I had my dry slope club instructor, which was like the lowest dry slope kind of qualification. And I was lucky enough, through the unfortunate incident of one of the other teachers, Stefan, he fell over on New Year's Eve. They were all skiing down the mountain, a little bit inebriated, and he had an external fibia break.
Oh,
so he was basically out for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I was up the mountain sorting out bindings on skis, and the ski school director, Michael Hengel, came over to me and he gave me a jacket. He went, "Take Stefan's group and don't make a mess of it." So I was like, okay, brilliant. And that was kind of it. My dream was to be a ski teacher. That's what was my aim was. Yeah. And doing the season as a ski tech was supposed to help me get there. And from that day, I basically worked every week for the ski school as a teacher. I did the ski hire in the morning and the evening, and that was my first season. And then I did a couple more I did peak weeks for a few years. I came over at Christmas, New Year, half term, and Easter. And then, like a lot of people, I fell out of the industry, let's say. Back in the UK, I had different jobs. I was working in bars and restaurants. Worked for Ellis Brigham's for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I was supposed to go up to Scotland to work. I was going to work in Glen Sheaf for Gustav Fischnaler, who I believe is now back in the Innsbruck area of Austria. Okay. And I was supposed to work for him. And it was a year, it must have been something like 89 or 90, and it just did not snow in Scotland. There was no snow at all. So we just didn't get calls that we were needed. Like, we had jobs once it snowed, and it just didn't snow. So because of that, I kind of fell out a little bit more, and cut a long story short, I started to conform to society, and I got a job, and I bought a house, and I got a bigger job, and I bought a bigger house, and I got a car, and I bought a bigger car, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then in 2009, I was fortunate to get made redundant from the job I was doing, which was in the drinks industry. And I'd managed to climb the slippery pole quite high within the alcohol business.
Yeah.
But I got made redundant. And it was when the banks all went belly up. I think it was the Icelandic banks, wasn't it, in 2009?
2008, yeah. 2009.
And that sent me in a totally different direction, which was car body repair and alloy wheel repair. Okay. And it was 4 years after that, I was sat in somebody's drive, and I think I was in somewhere like Marlow or Henley, and I was trying to paint a bumper corner on a car. In the freezing cold, my airline kept freezing. I had an infrared lamp on my compressor to try and keep the moisture from freezing.
Yeah.
It was snowing, and I kind of was kneeling on the ground and went, "What are you doing?" 4 years ago, you got made redundant. Now, when I say got made redundant, people don't think I got a fist load of cash. I didn't. Yeah. I'd only been there 18 months, so I got statutory, basically, which was nothing. And I was like, 4 years ago, you should have just packed up and gone skiing. And I literally went home that day, put my house on the market, put the business on the market, and this was about February.
Yeah.
I came over to Kaprun in the March because I wanted to meet some guys from the SIA, the Ski Instructor Academy, because I'd seen their website. And at the time, their website, it was a good website, but I wasn't convinced So I came over to meet the guys, and I spent a week with them. And I was like, right, I'll be back in November. I'm going to requalify, do my unverter, which is your level 1. And they like all of these gap year courses, they give you a job guarantee, or most of them give you a job guarantee. Yeah. And they literally said, where do you want to work? And I went, well, I'll work in Kaprun. And there was no real reason at the time why I said I would work in Kaprun. I just said, I'll work in Kaprun. And they got me a job in Kaprun. So that is kind of how I ended up back here in 2012.
I think from that perspective, it might have been that little tangent that you went on from 2008 to 2012 might not have been necessarily a bad thing. My first season was out here in Morjan was 2009, I think. 2009, 2010. And there wasn't very much work around at all. You know, because of the economic situation at the time. It was a and it was a poor snow season in Switzerland that year as well. So there was no snow and no clients. It was a really, really tough year. And there was a lot of, I distinctly remember that first year in the ski school when I went there. I remember it being a really difficult year, and that there were lots of kind of people in the office sort of, you know, trying to, how would you say, like, you know, sort of hanging around the office trying to be picked for any work that came in. And it was a very, very light season, and you know, tensions were high within that ski school that year, and I think probably the ski school itself was in a bit of difficulty as well, because they kind of expanded into that market, and you know, no one came. It was tricky, and I think that draws a lot of parallels with what this year might be like. It might be a tense season for a lot of people, I think, you know, if the clients don't come. I was listening to a podcast the other day on Joe Rogan with a guy called Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff is like he's quite an outspoken sort of financial analyst guy, and I don't really like him. He's a bit of a gold bug, but he kind of sometimes, every now and then, out of all the stuff that he says, you can pull out like a little nugget here and there. And he says that this current situation is the thing that I've been thinking about a lot today when I've been out on the bike, is that he says that COVID is kind of the pin that pricked the sort of economic bubble that we were in prior to COVID. And actually where we are right now might be actual normal, as opposed to where we were before. With like bubble, you know, people were enjoying like low interest rates, living off debt, and people had no savings, that kind of stuff. You know, I try to keep one eye on these kind of things just because it affects our clients, and you kind of got to know what their living situation is like. And I wonder actually if we've been enjoying like a sort of false reality for some sort of, you know, period of time. It'll be interesting to see how this season shakes down. This year. Okay, but one of the reasons that I'm extremely interested to have this chat with you. Sorry for depressing everybody with that chat. Oh God. One of the reasons that I was super interested to have this chat with you is because this podcast can sometimes be a little bit sort of Basie centric. You know, I've been trying this summer desperately to interview people from all over Europe, and not necessarily British people, or Europe and Canada, US, like that's been my sort of goal, is to kind of spread the wings a little bit, and I'm particularly interested to have a chat with you because you're not qualified through the British system. You know, you are British, you live in Austria, but you're qualified through the Austrian system. Is that's right to say, right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. So what I did is, when I was young, I went into Basie when it was 3-2-1, and part of the thing with going to work for Gustav was, if I remember right, that if I'd gone and worked for him, he would have put me through my 2 as part of working for him. So it was going to pretty much cost me nothing. Yeah. And that, again, because it didn't snow in Scotland, that never happened. So everything that I had, whether it be from the English Ski Council at the time with the artificial slope stuff, or that Basie level 3, it all lapsed. And when I came back and I spoke to the guys at the SIA here in Kaprun, they kind of said, at the end of the day, if you want to work in Austria, you're going to be better with an Austrian qualification. Now, this was long before Brexit, obviously. And it made total sense to me, it made total sense. If I want to work in Austria, get the qualification of the country.
Yeah, well, that's why I switched into the Swiss system, right? The same reason. If you're here and you're making a long-term lifestyle, life out here, why would you be compromised in that way? Yeah.
And what I understood at the time, and this isn't necessarily true, but what I was led to understand at the time was, even if I went and did my BASI 1 and 2, or even my BASI 3, some of the ski school owners don't recognise it, so they'll still only pay you the lowest level pay as an Austrian Anwärter.
Right.
Now, as I say, that isn't strictly true anymore. I think it used to be back in the day where some Austrian ski school owners would say, if you're not Austrian qualified, you're not qualified, But the more and more of them are kind of disappearing, let's say.
Yeah.
And the younger generation are taking over, a little bit more open to it. But yeah, that's why I did it. And one of my things when people say, I want to become a ski teacher, I now say to them, where do you want to work?
Yeah.
Because if you want to work in Canada, go and get Canadian qualified. If you want to work in, France, get French qualified.
Yeah.
If you want to work in Romania, get Romanian qualified, Don't go and do, I use BASI as an example, don't do BASI if you want to work in Austria, And I was glad of the advice I got, because it saves me a lot of money. I'll say that. Saved me a lot of money. Because at the time, I would have quite easily just gone back to BASI and gone, right, let's go.
Yeah.
And it would have cost me a fortune.
Yeah, it's not cheap to go all the way through the system, is it?
No. How much exactly would it cost to go through the whole BASI system, roughly?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know, because there's like 10 modules, isn't there, in level 3? I'm only doing approximations, right? There's 10 modules in level 3, or there was. Let's say each of those is 500 quid. There's $5,000 right there. Not including training, Eurotest training, probably another $5,000 to get at least to get through level 4. You've got a bunch of, I don't know. I'd say it would be close to 15,000, wouldn't it? After you factor in like training, lifts, hotels, accommodation, all that sort of stuff. I think that's assuming that you get everything first time.
Yeah. See, I would have thought even more. The good thing about the Austrian system, is your level 4, you don't pay for it.
Oh, really?
No, it's government funded.
Really?
Yeah. You don't pay for the course. You pay for your accommodation. The guys who have done it say it costs them around 8,000 to 10,000, but that's because of accommodation, travel, time off work, additional kit that's required, loss of earnings, etc.
Yeah.
But the actual course itself is government funded.
Oh wow! Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Let's jump you back a bit. So your journey then. So you went to Kaprun, or you went to the SIA Ski Instructor Academy, and you did your Anwärter with them. So Anwärter is, for those of us that don't know, and I'm one of them, Anwärter is the entry level qualification that you need to get into the system.
It's your level 1. And Anwärter roughly translates into contender.
Oh, right.
So you are a contender to become a ski teacher.
Oh, I like that.
Or a snow sports teacher.
Okay.
So it's a level 1, which is the equivalent of a BASI 2, because it allows you to work in an on-mountain environment.
Okay.
I did a 4-week prep course. So I did 4 weeks of training. Now, I probably didn't need to do that. However, I wanted to do it because I wanted to have a bit of a good time.
Yeah.
And also, as part of that course, there was a lot of German. And my German at the time wasn't great.
Yeah.
And they kind of make sure you know the German you need to know for the exam.
Yeah.
Whether you then take your German any further or not is entirely up to you.
I understand.
So I did the 4-week prep course, and then you go on to the Anwärter exam, which is a 10-day course.
Oh, wow.
Where you eight of those days is more training.
Yeah.
And then you have a 2-day exam. And that exam, part of it is like ski school skiing, part of it is performance, you'll do a lesson, you'll do a teach, and then you have a theory. Now, depending on the different ski instructor associations, depends on how that theory is structured. So I did it with Snow Sports Academy, which is the Vienna Verband, so the Vienna Association, and theirs is a written exam question answer. Someone like Salzburger, they do a multiple choice or multiple guess, as I like to call it.
Would be if it was in German for me.
Because at the end of the day, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right, haven't you? Sit next to a Dutch person who can read the questions and you're away.
Yeah.
So that's your level 1, and that enables you to teach on snow. And the Austrian ski schools will employ, I would have said that our ski school probably had about 60 or 70% of the teachers were inverters.
Okay.
And once you've done that, there's four levels. So you go into your level 2, which is Landers 1. Now the Landers 1 it's like a bridging qualification between the Anverter and level 3, which is was your ISAA level. So you would get your stamp.
What does Landers mean?
Land, teacher of the land, basically.
Right. Okay.
So you do your Landers 1, and your Landers 1 is. When I did it, there was no teaching exam element. It was more about it basically gets your skiing to the level to pass your level 3.
Oh, okay.
So
it's like a prep course.
Sorry, what was that?
It's like a prep course kind of thing.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's basically to ramp up your off-piste, your bumps, rhythm changes, just getting you skiing to a much higher level. And it's 8 days of being pushed and pushed and pushed. Depending on when you do it, beginning or end of the season, they'll find you the worst terrain with the worst snow. You know, you'll do rut line after rut line after rut line until your legs don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And then you'll have your exam again is based. You've got some ski school skiing in there. You've got some performance, and you have a GS race. And the GS race is about technique, not time.
Okay.
So you'll do a GS, which is kind of starting to prep you for your level 3.
Yeah.
And inevitably your level 4 if you go that far.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you pass that, then you can go on to what would be a BASI level 3 kind of equivalent, which is an ISAA level. And again, that's another 10-dayer.
What's that? Is that called the Landers 2 then, or have I missed?
It's the course is Landers 2 because it's the second part of Landers.
Yeah.
But we just call it it's the Landeslehrer. So it's the land ski teacher exam. Now, once you've passed your Landeslehrer, you are a qualified ski instructor.
Mm.
So up until that point, you're not a ski instructor in the eyes of the Austrians.
Wow.
Even when you've done your Landers 1, your license is still an Anverter license.
Do you get, when you complete the level 3, Landers 2, Landeslehrer, do you get the ISAA stamp at that level?
You do, however, Austria is no longer in the ISAA,
okay. So you don't. Okay.
But it is that level, and it is seen as that level. So I could go to the States with it and say I'm an ISAA because I am. I just don't have a stamp because we're not a member, a member nation. Yeah, a member nation. Yeah.
What's in? Yeah. So I jumped all over you. What's in the Landeslehrer exam then?
Okay, so you do a GS. You do a timed GS.
Okay.
So like almost a mini Euro test.
But not the Euro test.
No, it's not the Euro test, but it's very similar. So you will have normally I think it's a FIS racer will do the time for you. So they'll do a first run, they'll close the first run, then they'll close the second run. Mm. So they take an average of the 3.
Okay.
So you have to pass that on time. You don't have your ski school skiing, which when I did it, I think it's still the same at that level. You have basically a plough parallel. So you have to do a demonstration of plough parallel, and then a demonstration of long turns.
Oh, wow.
and then your Eigerkern and your performance skiing is dynamic longs, dynamic shorts. You'll have a rhythm change, which will be full gas dynamic longs into full gas dynamic shorts.
Oh, now that's interesting, because that's in the Swiss too.
Yeah, they love a rhythm change. They love a rhythm change.
It's cool though, isn't it? Like, it's a real test, that.
Oh, I like it because I'm good at it. Where I don't like the GS because I'm not good at it. But no, I love a rhythm change.
Oh, wow.
And then you got bumps. So you've got a mogul run, an open mogul run, and then you've got an off-piste free run. So basically, give as much as you can give. Down the variable, and again, depending on what time of year you do it, you could be lucky enough to be in powder, or you could be in the heaviest crud. But it's like, go for it. If you go for it on that and you stick in a rhythm change, your points go through the roof. Okay. If you pop a little jump and manage to survive, your points go through the roof.
Cool.
And then you'll have your theory exam.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because at that level with the Wiener band, your theory is verbal. And is in German.
Oh, wow.
So you basically you sit in pairs, which takes a little bit of the heat off you, and you'll basically do different stations. So you'll move around a room, you spend about 15 or 20 minutes with each examiner, and one will be on the methodic progression of the Austrian system.
Okay.
So they'll say, take us through the methodic progression for dynamic short turns. So that's the progression that they say, the steps you take to teaching that movement pattern, let's say. Then you'll move on to one which is, it's the analysis of somebody's skiing. So they'll show you a video. Yeah. And you would have to say what you see, so what they are doing wrong, and how you would look at correcting that. And you would basically talk them through, well, I would start with the feet. I would look at what the feet are doing, then I'd work my way up. And depending on what the failure was. So if the failure was they were leaning back, you'd explain how you would try and get them into the middle of the ski, whether that be using kind of exercises or talking to them and explaining stuff and whatever. And then you've got another one of them is avalanche. So you get asked a load of questions on your avalanche stuff. First aid. Now, we don't actually do first aid courses in the Austrian system. At Landes level, you have a talk about first aid, and then you'll get asked several questions. And the question could be, what do you do if someone's had a heart attack? What do you do? What number do you call to get a helicopter? Things like that. So it's not in-depth first aid. And then you have a language test, obviously. So for me, the language test would have been in German. For an Austrian, they would have had to speak English. Okay. And you have a little chat to them for your second language. And then I'm trying to think what the other ones are. I think there's equipment. We do there's an equipment one as well. So they'll ask you questions about ski servicing, about equipment, about boots. How can you modify a boot? What are like 7 steps to servicing a ski? Things like that. So equipment knowledge and servicing knowledge and stuff like that.
That's quite thorough.
Yeah, it's quite in-depth. It's basically at that level, once you get to the Landeslehrer level, it is governed by the government. Okay. So there is a government official who will be there on the 2 days of the exams watching what happens, and then he will be in the room of the night of the theory sitting at random tables.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you pass that, you become a ski instructor. However, you've not yet got the level to get your ISAA stamp.
So so presumably there's some sort of level that sits over the top of all of this?
Well, what you've got is once you've done your Landes 1 and Landes 2. So at Landes 1 level, you can then also go on the Alpine course, which is your avalanche course. Yeah. Which is a 1 week, it's a 7-day course. So, and on that course, you do snow profiles, risk assessment, guiding, search and rescue, etc., map reading, navigation. And you can do that once you've got your level, your Landes 1 or you can wait till you've done your Landers 2.
Yeah.
Once you've done your Landers 2 exam for your skiing, then you've got your Alpine course. You then need your second discipline. Now, nearly everybody goes for snowboarding because I'm going to annoy the snowboarders with this. It's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So, it's the old joke about what's the difference between a snowboarder and a snowboard teacher about 5 days. And I hadn't been on a snow.
I'm already getting dogs abuse for having no snowboarders on here, and now you're making it worse.
Oh well, never mind.
I did have I told you, didn't I, the recent thing that we did, that something like, I don't know what it is about snowboarding, but there isn't the culture of like going on and sort of taking continued series of lessons to get better and better. It just doesn't exist. Like the Swiss Snow Sports stats that they brought out a couple of years ago said that like 95% of all lessons taken were ski. I think my general reading of what it looks like on the beginner slope is that, once they can turn left and right, snowboarders, they just go off and work it out themselves.
Yeah, I think that's right. And you don't see that many advanced snowboarding lessons going on here either, to be honest. No. You'll see a few, but not a great deal.
I wonder why that is. I don't really understand why that... Is it a sort of counterculture thing, I wonder? It's not cool or whatever. I'm not sure.
I just think... I don't know. I think skiers who want to progress want to perfect their skiing. They want to become really good technical skiers. Whereas snowboard, I'm not saying they don't want to progress, they don't want to become technically good, but it's just like a more chilled, relaxed kind of way, isn't it? I'm sure there are very technically minded snowboarders out there that want to become better and better and better and better and better. I actually know an English family who the father and the daughter, they'll take snowboard lessons every time they come out.
Yeah.
But I think just the average tourist snowboarder, as you say, once I can get around the mountain, I can get around the mountain. I don't need any more than that, And to be fair, there are skiers like that. Once they can do a parallel turn, they're off. They pick up a load of bad habits and end up coming back at some point. But there are tourists that think once I can do a parallel turn down the red, I'm done.
It does seem to be that there is a greater volume of people come back for repeat sort of what do you call it, perfection. It's not an English word. Perfection, like making your technique better. It does seem to be more of a culture of that within skiing than snowboarding. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I've reached out to a couple of snowboard people to kind of maybe come on and have that chat and see, because it would be interesting to know. Let's see. I must follow that up with one of them. Anyway, so second discipline, the equivalent of like an off-piste mounted security, and what's the kind of the final pieces of the jigsaw in the level? What would you call it? Level 4.
Yeah, level 4. So those 3 pieces are for your level 3. Then you've got your ISAA stamp, or you would have. And then you basically go on to a pre-examination. So you have to do an entrance exam to get onto the level 4, which is the Statlik. And Statlik is a state teacher. You become a teacher of the state.
Okay.
And the pre-exam for that is held in Hinterrhein, not far from Kaprun. And it's literally a one-lift mountain, which the World Cup team use. So it's injected... and it's where they do the Euro test. They do the Euro test in the Alberg, and they also do the Euro test in Hinterreich, which is just near Maria Alm, just as you're driving into Maria Alm. So it's rock hard ice. You go down there. It's normally end of January, and the entrance exam is the first thing you do is you do a mini Euro test. Right. So the openers are the examiners, or 3 or 4 of the examiners. And then they'll get their time from that. And then you race. If you pass it on the first run, they tell you can relax.
Yeah.
If not, you do a second run, and they'll reset the course alongside where the course was already.
Okay.
and you do your second run, and hopefully you pass, or if you don't, you don't. Now, if you don't pass, you're on your way home. That's it. You don't even get to try the other elements.
Really?
Right. It's basically, if you're not going to pass, if we don't think you've got a chance of passing the Euro test, you're not going any further.
But it would be fair to say that anyone who has got to that level probably has a racing background, given that they're all Austrian and grew up in the mountains.
Yeah, especially if they're an Austrian or a German, let's say.
Yeah.
A lot of the Dutch lads and a lot of the English lads, we all what's the word I'm looking for? We all suffer with it, you know.
Yeah.
I had a few friends on it when I did it, and they passed. They passed on their first run. They weren't racers; they're just very good skiers.
Yeah.
But most of the Austrians who were going down, they were getting times not dissimilar to the openers.
Okay.
You know, because they've all grown up racing. They've been in the village race club.
Yeah.
They've skied at a certain level, competed at a certain level on snow most of their life. And they almost do it on one ski with their boots open going backwards.
Yeah, okay.
You know, where we're like rubbing the last final bit of wax in the start on your ski, hoping it's going to help, you know. So if you do pass, then you have your lunch, and then in the afternoon what they do is they do a ski school skiing test, and that's normally plough turns and plough parallel. No, it's plough parallel into long turns. So it's almost like a ski school rhythm change.
Okay. Interesting.
So you do plough parallels, 4 or 5 plough parallels, and they're going to go straight into long turns. And it's actually funny because at that stage, some of the guys who smashed the race are out because they can't ski like ski teachers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then you'll do a rhythm change, of course, because they're like a rhythm change. So you do dynamic longs into dynamic shorts. And then that'll be the end of the first day. Then on the second day, you go over to Maria Alm and you do an off-piste run. So again, full gas, show them what you've got. Yeah. Absolutely smash your way down. Again, if you stick in a rhythm change or you stick in a bit of a trick or a jump or whatever, you'll get more points. And then you'll do a bumps run.
Okay.
And depending on the conditions, whether that's an open field or it's a rut line, all depends. Yeah. And at the end of that, you'll basically get told, you're on the course, see you in November, or you're not on the course.
Wow.
And if you are on the course, then, as I say, you start in November. It's, I worked out the number of days. It's 60 days.
What?
60 days.
60 days of what?
So you have different semesters, and they're all the way they structure it is you do the course around the peak weeks.
Yeah.
So you can go and work for your ski school Christmas, New Year. You can go work February half term. You can go and work Easter, because obviously taking 60 or 80 of your best teachers out for the whole season would be a bit of a pain. So you start with semester 1, and you have a 9-day section followed by, and I believe that's on snow, and then you do a second 9-day section, which is theory. Yeah. Then you go up to St. Christoph in Alberg, and you do another 9 days of skiing. Then you go back to your ski schools and you work, and in January, then you go off and you do a 6-day alpine course, so Euro security. And then that's the end of the first semester, let's say. Then you go back for the second semester in February after the half term. Yeah. 9 days. Then you have a bit of a break and you go back for another 8 days. Yeah. Then you have a break until before or after Easter, and you do another 6 days. And then your final exam is this year is mid-April, and it's a 4-day exam. And from what I believe, the exam is, obviously you've got your Euro test, which they do in the Alberg, and you're allowed 3 goes at the Euro test, for free. Okay. So if you were to fail it 3 times, you'd have to pay for your 4th entry. Okay. But the course gives you 3 goes. So you've got Euro test. I think that ski school element, I think they make you do everything. So you have to do plough parallel, basic short, basic long, and then dynamic shorts and longs.
Yeah.
For sure, there'll be a rhythm change in there because they love a rhythm change, and there'll be a teaching exam.
Yeah.
And you'll have a theory. You'll have a big. And I think the theory, some of it, if not all of it, is verbal. I think. Don't 100% know if I'm right on that. I'm sure someone will let us know. And 60 days, and then hopefully by the end of it, you're qualified.
So people do that over the course of one season. It sounds like, so you set a season aside. You do you do peak week teaching, but essentially that season is put aside to become statlich.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then once you've got that, it goes on. You then are invited to become a Skiführer.
Oh.
Which is a ski guide.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a mountain guide; it's a ski guide, and they have a ski and a snowboard equivalent. And you're invited to go to the entrance exam, and the entrance exam is the following October in Hintertux. And you basically do a load of different tests, and one of them is it's like an endurance thing. They go, right, you've got to get up there, you've got to skin up there in this much time.
Oh, really?
And that's where they thin the field. So if you haven't passed that, then you're out.
Yeah, they would get me for sure on that.
yeah. And if you have passed it, then you carry on with the other bits of the test. Yeah. And I don't know a great deal about that test, to be honest. And then if you do pass, it's what's this? 8 and 8 is 16.
Yeah.
It's about a 25-day course with a 7-day exam.
Wow.
And that's kind of crevasse rescue, rappelling, rope work, ice axes, more obviously guiding, navigation, etc., etc., etc. It's pretty full on. You spend two of the parts of the course are 8 days where you stay in a hut. You stay up on the mountain for 8 days, twice.
Is that what Toby did recently? Is that what he was doing?
It is. Yeah, he was basically, he would have finished it at the end of this season if we hadn't have been shut down. So I think he's got his last. He might only just have to have the exam to do. Yeah, but he did, and he is the person to talk to about that course.
Okay, I'll get him one day. So hi Toby, if you're listening. And good luck with your exam, because we've seen all the rope work and stuff. Oh my god, that he's posting, it's unbelievable.
Oh, he's been tying ropes around his house and strapping his kid up on the staircase and all sorts.
Yeah, I know. Fair play to him. Okay, wow. So that's pretty extensive.
Yeah, that's the Austrian ski system.
But I suppose
in a nutshell.
Yeah, but I suppose it has to be if skiing is your national sport, right?
Exactly. It's your national sport, and it's one of the biggest contributors to your GDP.
Yeah. So I suppose the level and we this then sort of ties back to this concept that I've been talking about with many of our guests, is that there is a sort of cultural difference, big cultural difference between, say, the British mindset or whatever, and your average kind of Austrian, French, Swiss, Italian village in the Alpine, where you grow up living skiing. It's what you do for sport. It's like joining the Scouts. You're part of the ski club, and so you know how to race, and all of this stuff that say sometimes the British find so hard is not necessarily hard to them, because it's what they know, right? You've been slapping gates and running GS courses since you were 6 years old. Yeah.
I've got friends who are Austrian, who are young Austrians, who have done just that, and they've gone onto the Shatlick, and they failed the ski school skiing at the final exam. Because they just can't. They can, but they can't do it to the level needed for that exam. They can't ski slowly. They can't ski like a ski instructor. They can't show movement patterns. Now they eventually do pass it because they work on it.
Yeah.
But they find it difficult, you know.
Yeah, because I guess all they've done, right, is run hard icy courses, carving their skis forever.
Yeah. The one thing I would say about the Austrian system, and the Austrian system, as we've just learned, is very robust. And as we've just said, yes, if you are a skiing nation, and it's a big earner for the country. But what I would say is that from what I see, there is a big gap within it, and that is the amount of time that is spent teaching ski teachers how to teach skiing.
Okay. Expand on what you mean by that.
Well, even though in the exams you'll have a teaching exam where you will teach your peers whatever you're asked to teach, there isn't a great deal of let's sit down and talk about how you teach somebody. Let's sit down and talk about how you find out information from people. There's nothing about how do we identify someone's learning habits.
Okay.
How do we get inside someone's head to get information from them to enable us to coach them in a better way with the information that we've gained. And things like that. There's none of that. It's literally, what's your examiner do the teach? Now you do the teach. Well, I'm not going to teach the same way as you, and you're not going to teach the same way as me. And I think that a lot of anverters will do their exam, and on day one of their season, which is like the Saturday before Christmas or the Sunday, they'll get given a group.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, I've got 8, 9, 10 people stood in front of me. All I know is their name, and now I've got to teach them to ski.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to get information from them. A lot of them will revert to, how does it feel? Well, if the person isn't kinesthetic, it doesn't feel of anything, you know? And they're not able to identify how the person's going to learn, how they're going to respond to whether it be a demonstration or an explanation or whatever it be, you know? And I think that potentially is one thing that's lacking in the Austrian system, because I've got friends who've done a Canadian system, and there is so much of that in that system. And when it gets to your level 4 and you do your teaching, it's not so much about are you the best skier. It's about are you a good teacher? Are you a good communicator? Are you good at getting information from people? Are you good at putting it all over in a way that they can explain? And I think that also is the difference between some extremely good ski teachers and some great skiers who just can't teach very well.
I hope you're enjoying this episode. Andy is a really, really funny guy, and I think that comes across well in the interview. And I really enjoyed this chat that I had with him. I know that I say that about all the guests, but I just find these things fascinating, you know, talking to people from all over Europe and the world about skiing and about how they go about their life and their business. In the second half of this, we talk a little bit more about Austrian skiing and Austrian technique and what that looks like and how that's evolving. We talk more about Andy's business, Snow Camps Europe, and we talk about we sort of do this was recorded actually in the start of September, so a lot of the measures that Andy talks about in terms of COVID and Austrian skiing this winter are still valid, and in fact they've proved to be quite a decent prediction as to how things are going to go this winter, and I thought the thing about speeding up the lifts was particularly interesting. There's some more animal chat later on, which you'll be pleased to know, and some other chat about Austrians and long skis and skiing in the 80s. So hopefully you'll enjoy the second half of this chat. Just a quick shout out to Susan Schaefer in the US. Thank you very much for getting in touch and the lovely email that you wrote to me. I really, really appreciate people who get in touch. It's lovely to hear all of the different kind of people that are listening. So enjoy the second half. The next interview that we have coming up, in fact, I'm all over the place lately with interviews. I've got 2 or 3 lined up: Scottish perspectives, Italian perspectives, French perspectives. But the next one that I think I have in the bag, which needs to be edited, is with Richard Featherstone from Snowbility in the UK, and he skis with children and adults that have special needs indoors in one of the snow domes. So I'll get that edited up when I get a minute, and that one will be out as well before we all start skiing in earnest. Hope you're all well, and I will catch you again on episode 28. I just want to take you back to a bit in your story, but what was it? It must have been great fun to be a ski teacher in 1988 in Austria. We've all seen, Blizzard of Oz and stuff like that. Skis were long. The fashions were great. You've seen some of these movies of the Austrian skiers in the 90s. I think Toby put one up the other day of some of the mogul skiers that the Austrians had in those days. And it's just like, it must have been great fun to be there then, was it not?
It was absolutely awesome. And I was obviously I was 18 years of age, and I was living the dream that I'd had since the age of 11.
Yeah.
There were elements of it that just cannot go on today.
No.
Because how society has changed.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely unreal. I couldn't believe it. The day that Michael came out and gave me this red and white jacket with Austrian Ski School on the back, I was like, all of my Christmases have come at once,
Yeah.
Because at that time, a ski teacher jacket was a license to do pretty much whatever you wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
And most people did. But it was great fun. We predominantly were teaching, I would say, teenagers. There was two sides to the ski school. There was English school holidays, and then there was the normal business of kind of tourists and adults. And we worked predominantly on the school kids. But it was fantastic. And I can remember, I have so many memories about that time. And it's funny because I was actually, only a couple of nights ago, I was with one of the ski teachers from the ski school that I worked for, who works there now, talking about how it was back then and how it is now. And she's probably mid-30s. She's been working there 8 years. So she's been working at my old ski school as long as I've been working in Kaprun.
Yeah.
And just swapping stories of how it was then to how it is now. It is very, very different.
Yeah.
But back then it was just, it was ski teachers. At that time, ski teachers were seen almost as heroes.
Yeah.
People would worship ski teachers. Where now, to be fair, we're treated like bin men. And now there's nothing wrong with bin men, but we are treated like you're not really anything. You just teach tourists to ski, and you like to party a lot. And to be fair, I do like to party a lot, and I hold my hands up. I organise parties for the ski teachers. That's how much I like to party. But back then, you were, if you didn't party, there was something wrong.
Yeah.
But you were so much more respected back then than now.
What changed?
I don't know. I left for a few years.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't know if it was because as things opened up and more ski teachers from other countries came in, and I'm only speaking from an Austrian perspective.
It's like the
and obviously we have. You'll be surprised the number of actual Austrians employed within the ski schools I've worked for. Now the one I work for now, we do have a fair few Austrians, but the one I worked for previously, I would say we had, out of a team of 45, we had 6 Austrians.
Oh, really?
And the rest were predominantly Dutch, English, and then we'd have some Eastern European guys. And I think what's happened is the quality has gone down. The overall quality of ski teacher has gone down, and therefore within the villages you are looked at as, well, you're just a ski teacher, until you turn around and say, I've just finished my Landis, and all of a sudden they go, oh, you are a ski teacher, or you're more serious than the others. And I fully understand that the hotel owners, the bar owners, everybody in the village, they see 80% of the ski school teachers are new every year.
Yeah.
Because of this gap this gap kind of thing. So
yeah.
80% of them turn up, they want to be treated well by bar owners and by everyone in the village, and then they leave and they're never to be seen again.
Yeah.
And I think that the locals have kind of got into this attitude of, I'm not going to invest time getting to know you, treating you well, etc., etc., etc. Not that they treat you badly, because you're not going to be here in 6 months' time.
Yeah, it's not worth their investment into you, is it?
Yeah, and one of the things I did when I got to Kaprun, and I totally planned it, I went, the minute I got here, I went and said hello to all of the key decision makers, all of the bar owners, restaurant owners, people in the mountains, and said, hello, I'm Andy, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I've just bought an apartment and I'm staying, and I'm going to be around for a long, long time. And over my first season, they realised what I was doing, and after my second season, third season, I, totally accepted by the Burgermeister of Kaprun, the Mayor of Kaprun, knows who I am. He'll say hello to me in the street. He'll say hello to a lot of people in the street, but he knows that you're here for more than just a party and a bit of skiing,
Yeah, makes a difference.
Did
that change
big difference.
when you started strutting around town with your Landers Landeslehrer badge on? Did that change anything? I'm interested in that from a cultural perspective.
Unfortunately, we don't get a badge, which is really annoying, because I do like a badge. But what it is, it's not so much. An example is, I was up at our restaurant a couple of weeks ago, and we've got two guys who work in forestry who are up every day chopping down trees. And one of them said, Andy, you're a ski teacher, right? I said, yeah. And they said, do you have a British qualification? And I said, no, I've got Austrian qualification. And the guy said, well, you're an Anwärter. And I said, no, I'm a Landeslehrer. And instantly he kind of sits up and goes, cool. I was a Landeslehrer. So when he was younger, he was also a ski teacher. Yeah. Which nearly everybody is in Austria when they're younger. And it's just this, you must be an Anwärter then. Well, no, actually, I'm not. I've worked hard and I've put in my time, and I'm qualified. And they instantly they react differently.
Yeah. Maybe you do need a little badge. We have a little badge that you can put on here that sort of signifies that you've got to the top level, and you would be surprised that maybe you wouldn't be, because it sounds like your experience is similar to mine, but if you haven't got one, you would be surprised at the difference in people's attitude towards you. When you I wouldn't say strut around with that badge, but it's a big thing. It sits on your jacket, and
it's funny.
Those who know. Do you know what I mean? And they'll sort of look at you differently. But okay, that guy, he did the thing. Like he's been there.
Yeah, it's funny because at level 4 they give you a badge, and if you did your Landers with Salzburger Verband, you get a badge, but the Wiener Verband don't have a badge.
Oh, okay.
But we have Dave from Skivo in Courchevel. They come here every November. I don't know if you know Dave.
No.
And them guys are all Basie, and several of them wear their Basie badge. Very proudly wear their Basie badge. And it's funny because I've not seen one level 4 Austrian ski teacher wear his badge.
Oh, really?
And equally, when you do your Führer, your Ski Führer, you also get a badge. Yeah. And I think I've probably seen one in 8 years, and it was a very old guy who was probably very proud of. He did it in leather boots 40 years ago, and they should be proud. And I don't understand why more of them don't wear their badge. It's a strange one, because if I had a badge, I would wear it. I'd wear it everywhere. Yeah,
Tell me, while we're still on the subject of because I want to pivot later and talk to you about snow camps and stuff. But tell me about Austrian technique. We see a bit of it, and I see some extraordinary Austrian skiers, on social media and stuff like that. And you will have seen all of the stuff that's sort of come out of Interski recently. What does kind of modern Austrian technique look like? We all know that the Swiss look a little bit different to everybody else, and we've all heard the kind of the Basie robot thing. But what is the if you could put your finger on a one or two things, what would it be within Austrian skiing?
Okay, so the first thing is, the first thing to think about is where is Austrian skiing coming from? It's coming from the World Cup. Mm-hmm. So it's very race orientated.
Well, does that mean that everyone skis like my favourite skier, Manny Feller? Because
not necessarily, no.
It's funny when you speak to Toby about Manny Feller. He's like, this guy's never going to win anything. He's got rubbish technique. And I'm like, well, yeah, but he looks like a crazy man. Like he's the guy that I tune in for these days. He used to be Herschel, but now it's like Manny Feller. Where is Manny Feller?
Yeah. So if you think it all comes from race pedigree, and that said, a lot of the guys over here will ski a GS ski. And they'll ski a GS ski whether they are teaching, whether they are free skiing, whether they're in the bumps, whether they're in the powder.
Really? On exams and stuff?
Sorry?
On exams and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Everything.
Hang on. What do you mean by GS ski? Do you mean you don't mean like a 30-metre big boy? You mean like a...
Some of them will be on fully blown FIS World Cup race skis.
Okay.
Flying down the moguls.
Yeah.
As if they're on something Italian.
Wow.
Some of them will be on like a Masters Radius. I've got a pair of Fisher RC4s, which I think were at a women's FIS World Cup, and they were 23, I think.
Oh, Andy.
But they ski, a lot of them will ski a GS ski anywhere and everywhere. Where some of the guys who are non-Austrian will be either on detuned GS or they'll be on piste carvers, and dare I say it, some of them are even on slalom skis.
It's funny, I went through a phase a couple of years ago. I skied a 25-metre GS ski for about 3 seasons in a row because they're super easy to ski on slowly. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's just an easy ski. You know, they're long and you can kind of just cruise, right? But I could never find the space to really let them rip, you know, because you could go too fast. There's people everywhere. So I've recently stepped down to here you go, shameless plug for Castley. So I've stepped down to a 16-metre Castley. What is it? The RX12 is my daily skiing now.
Last year I was given the choice: do you want another GS ski? And this was with Atomic, or do you want to try an X9? Yeah. And I'd actually been toying with the thought of going to a slightly shorter radius ski.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'll have an X9, and I think it's 16 and a half, 17.
Is that the red one or the green one?
The green one, yeah.
It's nice ski, that.
And I absolutely love it. Yeah. It's unreal. It's a great ski, and I don't know if it's just because it's in my head, but I get so much better grip on ice with that ski than I ever did with the GS skis that I was skiing on from Atomic. But I love it, and I love it in everything. And again, I'll ski that ski, whether it be powder, crud, slush, to teach on, to free ski on, to everything. You know?
Yeah.
So
anyway,
cool. the Austrian skiing, So basic World Cup model. A lot of them are on GS skis. We are seeing in the last kind of year talk of bringing the feet slightly closer together again.
All right. Why?
Because we went wide stance.
Yeah.
And we're now going slightly narrower stance. Mm-hmm. They brought out a thing, it's probably 2 winters ago now, which was carving is out, sliding is in.
Okay. Good.
They wanted to bring back an emphasis of skidding the turn, especially when teaching skiing.
Yeah.
Because so many people were going from, let's say, a parallel into a carved turn. And even though it's quite easy to carve a turn, stick the skis on the edge and around we go, people were picking up a great deal of speed and we were seeing a lot of accidents. Mm-hmm. So the Austrian Ski Federation brought in this new kind of, we want ski schools to teach skidding over carving. Okay. And I say when you teach a long turn in the Austrian system, it is a skid and carve rather than a fully skidded or fully carved. and you do get to carved turns, obviously, but you teach people to skid more, or they want you to teach them to skid more. And I'm all for skidding because I actually think skidding is a greater skill than carving.
Yeah.
And skidding and sliding can get you out of all sorts of trouble, where carving can get you into all sorts of trouble.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So yeah, that's I would say they're the main things about the Austrian way of skiing.
Did they say anything about why they would want to bring the feet slightly closer together? Or it's just a stylistic thing?
I think we're going back to an era of beautiful skiing.
Oh, now we're talking aesthetics.
Yeah.
Well,
if you look at the old videos of the Alberg of the skiing back then, and it looks pretty, let's say, you know. And I think they almost want to bring a little bit of that back into the way that the skiing is done.
Okay, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Okay, cool. All right. And they seem to be. I remember looking at some of the old inter-ski videos with when the Austrians were there, like in sort of an official capacity, I guess. And it seemed that they were quite. You're quite sort of solid with your upper body. There's not much freedom of movement there. Like sort of
the coat hanger.
Yeah.
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 So there's two things, I suppose. One of them, and I'll come back to the coat hanger. One of them is we teach the progression goes from being using an up forward movement and an up forward inward movement rather than this retraction and extension of the legs. So we teach up movement first, then we remove the up movement.
So you put it in to unweight the ski to help the beginner to get the turn going.
Yeah.
To get the rotation.
So at the end of one turn, you would make an up forward movement to release the ski.
Yeah.
Let the ski drift into the fall line, build up pressure on the ski by building up what we call the alpine basic position, and then releasing by making an up forward. Then that becomes an up forward, slightly inward movement.
Yeah.
So you're sending the body into the turn before the skis get there. But then that gets eradicated when we go onto the dynamic shorts and dynamic longs, which are a more stable body, and then the legs are working underneath with retraction and extension.
So it's sort of like a depending on situation kind of crossover or under or through.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, pretty much so. And then, as you say, the coat hanger thing is, and we get kind of berated a little bit for this, is it is very much a stable upper body. Everything happens with the legs and the upper body, especially in a short turn. The upper body faces directly down the hill. Everything works underneath from like the hip socket, let's say, down, albeit it's from the ankle up to the hip socket. And the shoulders are basically locked down the hill. The only things that are moving are your wrists for your pole plant. And yeah, people refer to it as the coat hanger ski instructor. So there's not so much freedom in the upper body.
Yeah.
However, once they then go into the off piste, you'll see some of them will allow a little bit more movement there. Probably because they're on a 30-meter race ski.
You got to do what you got to do to get it to go.
Yeah, exactly. But no, they are pretty much. You need a little bit of core tension in your upper body, kind of is the thought process. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then the other thing, and I think this is probably the same with all of the systems. You're always active. You're always moving. So you're never in a position, let's say. And this is where it gets confusing with this thing that they call the alpine basic position, or it translates into the alpine basic position. So it's, and I'll probably get this wrong for the German speakers, but Alpines Fahrverhalten translates into alpine basic position, but it's not a position. So a lot of people who are taught the alpine basic position think it's a position, so they put themselves into the position and then don't move.
Yeah.
But it's a movement, and it's a build-up of a movement that then ends with a release of that movement. Yeah. So you are continually active. And it can be confusing when learning the alpine basic position for the first time. Again, if the teacher doesn't explain it in the way it should be explained.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think you see that in all systems, though, don't you? If like, or someone only takes on board like one little bit of what they've heard, you know, it might be that the teacher has communicated it perfectly well, but it hasn't been received properly. There's a whole there's a whole set of theories behind how we communicate and give and receive messages, that kind of thing. Okay, cool. Tell me, so in recent years, you were working at the ski school with your old boss and stuff like that. Let's go on to Snow Camp Europe. Now, tell me what prompted you to start that and what it's sort of become in recent years.
Yeah. So how it came about was I'd been working for the first ski school I worked for in Kaprun, and I was a little bit disillusioned. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
By the level of customer service or the lack of level of customer service that was given. Yeah. And I thought there should have been more customer service, let's say. And I'd started thinking about how you could give a greater level of customer service. And at the same time, I was almost filling my own diary. I was promoting myself via social media and a website, and I was bringing people into the area, and I was obviously bringing repeat guests in. And I was getting very little reward for it. And I'm not necessarily talking monetary reward. I just wasn't even going to thank you. And literally in the last season I was there, I booked for 1 week, I think it was 6 ski teachers. So I booked myself out, I booked my partner at the time out for the week, and I booked 3 or 4 other teachers, all on private for the week. So we're talking about somewhere between 7 and 10 grand's worth of business for the ski school. Now, what I actually had to do is I had to book them all individually at different times to enable me to get the teachers that I wanted for the people. Because I wanted to match the people with the best teachers for what they needed. Yeah. And I got a bollocking. Who do you think you are booking teachers? It's my job to decide who teaches who. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm bringing you something like 10 grand's worth of business, and these people, in essence, have requested these teachers. Why would you not sell those teachers to those people who are paying 1,000, 1,200 euros at a time? You know? And I kind of thought, this isn't the kind of business I want to be working for, because the customer should be number one. They're on their holiday. They should have a good time. They shouldn't be made to travel across the village to meet their ski teacher when their ski teacher is then going to take them back across the village to the mountain, you know, and all these different things. And I then broke my leg, and I basically ended up, I missed best part of 2 seasons. And while I was off, I had plenty of time to think about stuff and how I would work it and how I would do it. I started to build a website, and Snow Camps Europe basically was born. And I took the concept to another ski school, who instantly said, yes, come and work for us, run your concept through our ski school, and let's give people a really good time whilst teaching them to ski. And that's how it kind of started. And I got back on skis at the end of that winter that I took snow camps to them. Albeit I didn't do any snow camps work that year. I had other people do it for me. But they were a lot more about, you tell us who you need, you get them. We'll book them out, they're yours. And one of the big things with snow camps is, if somebody wants to book a private lesson, what I found with many ski schools is you'd ring them up, or you'd email them, or go in and say, can I book a week of privates, please? And they'd say yes. And they'd look at the list of teachers who are available, and they'd just take the next one off the top of the list. Yeah. There wouldn't be any question. There wouldn't be like, oh, what level skier are you? Where have you skied before? What do you like? How do you like to be taught? Et cetera, et cetera. You know, there'd be nothing. And one of the things I do with snow camps is I'll have a conversation with every single person who wants to book a lesson. So I make sure I match them with the best teacher, whether it's going to be to communicate with them on their level, whether it's because they just want to have fun and ski around the area, whether they're technically minded, whether they're a beginner and they're fearful, whatever it be, I will talk to the people and match them with a teacher from the school or myself, and then I'll manage that while they're here. And I don't see ski schools do that, or they don't do it well enough. You know, they literally just go, yeah, if you want a ski teacher, you can have a ski teacher who's available. With the partner I've got now, we work together to give them the best teacher possible for their needs and their wants, basically.
Yeah.
And what we also do is we always say you'll only ever get a level 3, so you get a Landeslehrer or above, and it won't necessarily be a fresh Landeslehrer who's qualified within a year. It'll be someone who's got experience, who I can trust to deliver a lesson to my guest. Because at the end of the day, if they're a Snow Camps Europe guest, they're my guest, and I want them to have the best possible experience on and off the slope with that ski teacher. You know, so that's one of the things that kind of Snow Camps is about. It's about that, finding out what the person wants, what they need, what they're missing, and then matching it with a ski teacher.
How easy is that to do as you grow? Because that requires a bit of kind of personal attention.
Yeah, so obviously there's the office is basically me now, and it does take up quite a bit of time, but what you'll find is that is for people who want to book private lessons. People who are booking into regular group lessons, we can facilitate their group booking. And what we do in that respect, or kind of our USP, is the actual discount that I gain, I pass on to the customer. So I'm giving them a slightly discounted group lesson. Now, I can't determine who teaches that group.
Yeah.
However, I can quite often be teaching that group.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know that the guys who deliver our group lessons, because they're pretty much the same guys every week, are good guys. But what I'll also do is while the person's in resort, again, I will manage their experience. I'll meet them in the morning. I'll make sure they're okay. I'll speak to them in the evenings. And if there is anything that is not right, then I'll get it fixed. And then outside of that, obviously, we run our camps, and we run several through the season, typically on non-peak weeks. And so if it's a camp of 8 people, we'll have one group. So therefore, you'll get me. Whether you like it or not. And if I need additional teachers, so let's say we've got 3 groups of 6, then I will pull in 2 other teachers who I know are going to deliver and do what they need to do, and typically they'll be level 4s. If I've got, let's say, a 5 or 6 group camp, I'm not sure that's going to happen this year, but maybe it will. Then again, I've got plenty of resource I can call on. And as I said, the ski school are very good at giving me the people I want or the people I need. So that's how we kind of manage that. And as I say, I will. It doesn't matter how many people are in resort on any week. I will make sure that I see all of them every day, by hook or by crook, whether it be in the morning at the meeting point, on the slopes, at lunchtime, at après. If I've not seen somebody, I'll call them or I'll message them. Yeah. And I'll be like, "Hey, John, everything good? Any questions? Anything you need?" Blah, blah, blah. And therefore, I'll have contact with every single person every single day. You know, because I want them to have a level of service that they don't get anywhere else in Kaprun.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You know, and then that kind of brings it into the very last point of what Snow Camps is. And basically, we offer a free and resort service to anybody visiting Kaprun or ZMZ. Doesn't matter who they're travelling with, whether they're independent, whether they're with Crystal, whether they're with Nielsen's or Ingham's, whether they've come on a train or a bus or a plane, doesn't matter. Pre-holiday, if you have questions about the area, you want to know anything about restaurant bookings or places to visit or what to do, the best runs, secret spots on the mountain, people can email us, they can call me if they want to, and we give them the information. Once they're in resort, if they need anything, I've lost my skis, what do I do? Or my skis were stolen, what do I do? We'll send, go down to the police station, fill in a report. If that person hasn't got a clue what to do, I'll go and do it with them. Yeah. You know, if they want to make a restaurant reservation in a full restaurant, I'll get them a table in a restaurant. if it's out of hours, last year we had this a lot, out of hours chemist.
Yeah.
So they needed medication out of hours. Where do they go?
What isn't there a tourist office in Kaprun?
There is, but the tourist office is only open during the day.
Okay.
And
I'm only teasing you. But shouldn't this be the kind of thing they're doing?
Well, yes and no. But what I find is most of the people in the day when the office is open are skiing.
Yeah.
And when they come off the mountain and they've got a question, the office is closed. So I wouldn't say I serve as a tourist office, but the reason the free and resort service came around is Crystal Ski, who are the main operator in Kaprun, and they are massive in Zellamzee. And then we've got Nielsen and Ingham's in Zellamzee, and there's a few other companies. But Crystal specifically, Crystal's level of rep service has reduced year on year on year since I've been here.
Right.
And they now don't even have reps on buses from the airport. The reps don't make hotel visits. They don't have an evening program of quiz, bowling, après, etc., etc. It's gone. And I was teaching Crystal guests who would ask me questions that their reps should have been answering days and days ago at a welcome meeting, let's say. Now, okay, not everybody ever went to the welcome meeting, but if you went to the welcome meeting, your question should have been answered. So I've basically replaced the Crystal rep,
Amazing.
Of which we used to have 4 in Kaprun. They now have 1.
Yeah.
And I will guarantee, and this is me looking into my Snow Camp Europe crystal ball, give it a few years, everybody, there will no longer be holiday reps.
No, for sure.
Everything will be done via an app, online, on your phone.
Yeah.
You'll ask a question and somebody in Spain will answer it.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know?
Yeah.
Unless you come to Kaprun, and then you just have to call me.
Do you know, I was just thinking back to the reason why you started snow camps. It's funny, actually, because I read something. I was reading something in a magazine called The Critic, which I was reading online the other day. And it was a sort of piece by a guy who was living... he's living in Argentina, Buenos Aires. And what he was saying was like, there's a certain sort of cultural inertia that if you... And I find it here in Switzerland as well. I found it in France when I used to live there. It was like there's if you're running around trying to do stuff like a crazy man, like you're trying like an Englishman would, or like an American would, or whatever, you know, like you're running around trying to make things happen as if you were within your own culture, and the culture that you're living in does not support that like level of activity or level of kind of energy. You end up just banging your head against a brick wall because you're sort of swimming against the tide, you know. And I imagine that you found that in Kaprun. It drives me bananas sometimes here in Switzerland, this sort of oh, it's always been done that way, so, you know, don't rock the boat, you know, kind of thing. And it makes you want to tear your hair out sometimes because you're trying to make change or offer something different, and people just look at you like you're crazy, like proper nuts, you know. And it's a very, very hard thing to sort of come to terms with. It's another thing I was thinking about today, you know, that sort of idea that it seems to be, it's definitely something in the francophone world anyway, that a lot of things tend to come together at the last minute. You know, like there's sort of, you know, if you want something to happen, someone will have mentioned it roughly 2 weeks ago, but no one will really start doing anything about it until about a day before. Whereas if you're like super organised, like I am now, trying to get people to, you know, get excited about the ski season and book stuff in, well, you know, they're like, yeah, well, you know, the snow's not here yet, don't worry about it, you know, we'll you know, there's like 2 or 3 months left before the ski season comes. It's like, yeah, but if we don't put it in place now, you know, what are we going to do by the time the snow comes, blah, 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 and they just look at you like, you're crazy. It's, I don't know, I can't remember the exact phrase, but I imagine that was a similar experience for you when you're trying to get, like say your concept of a decent level of client care done in Kaprun in the old days.
Yeah, so that's right, and one or two kind of examples. So when I came over, obviously I run the car repair business, and before that I was in the drinks industry, and I was a little bit older than most of the others, and kind of my focus was customer service. Give these people a good time, teach them to ski, but give them a good time. They're on their holidays, they want to relax, they want to party, they want to do whatever they want to do. And I had a group. This is probably about my fourth week of the season. And two of them said, tomorrow we want to go on a sleigh ride, but we have to be there at 4.
Right.
Is there any chance we can start the lesson slightly earlier? So they were saying this to the group.
Yeah.
Half an hour earlier. And the group all went, yeah, of course, you guys want to go on a sleigh ride? And I said, okay, no problem. I said, everybody meet me at the bus stop at 9 instead of 9:30. Let's say.
Yeah.
So I got myself to the ski school office for 8 when the boss would turn up, and he crosses the road. What are you doing here? I said, I just wanted to tell you I'm meeting my group at 9 at the bus stop because some of them want to go on a sleigh ride. This is not possible. You cannot do this. You have to meet them at the meeting point at 9:30. It is the way it has always been, and it is the way it will always be. And I was flabbergasted. Yeah. I thought it would have been fantastic. You're giving them a good time. Yeah, you're doing what they want. You're keeping them happy. They're going to come back again.
Yeah.
The total opposite. Total opposite. Couldn't believe it. Yeah, but bizarre. There's a few different examples. Another one, and I'll not do all of them. But another one is the meeting point. The ski school Kinderland, which also is the meeting point, is in the centre of the village. So somebody could be staying to the left of the meeting point, closer to the glacier. And somebody else might be to the right of the meeting point, closer to the village mountain.
Yeah.
Now, if I say to the group on Monday afternoon, okay, folks, tomorrow we're all going to ski on the glacier, 2 or 3 of them are going to say, okay, well, we're at the Kunstdown, which is 5 minutes away from the glacier, so we'll meet you at the glacier. I have to say, no, you have to come into Kaprun and meet me at the meeting point with everybody else, because the boss says you have to.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? So they'll get the bus at 8:30 into Kaprun to go to the meeting point, to get on a bus at 9:30 to go past where they've come from. It's their holiday.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know.
I'll add that the ski school that we now partner with do not have that policy.
Yeah.
We can meet people wherever they want to meet.
Yeah. If only it was that easy, just literally arrange where you want to meet your client and where they want to meet and meet them there. Like it's... Yeah.
Because it's their holiday, it's their time, and they're also paying.
Yes. Yeah. It's extraordinary. What a concept.
Yeah, I can't see it lasting, to be fair.
So tell me, just I've got a couple of things I'd love to finish off and talk to you with that. You know more than anyone that I know about what Austrian. We should probably just touch. I should say, listener, we're recording this on September the 8th or 9th, whatever it is. 10th, sorry, lost days of going. September the 10th. So by the time that this gets published, it might even be November or October, depending on who's in the queue in front of you, Andy. But you know more about what Austrian lifts are planning in terms of a lot of people who are going to be skiing are going to be worried about. Do I need to wear a mask in a lift? Do I need to wear a mask on a T-bar? Do I need to do anything special in particular this year? Do you just want to fill me in with what you've heard about what Austria is doing about lifts? Because lifts are sort of centrally regulated, aren't they, in Austria?
Yeah, so there's kind of 2 sides to this at the moment, what we're seeing and hearing and reading. And that is some of the ski resorts have published their COVID guidelines, let's say. And not surprisingly, or surprisingly, Ischgl was possibly the first one. And then some of the others have followed. Now, the funny thing is, those ski resorts that are opening, hopefully in about 6 weeks, haven't yet told us what we're doing, Kaprun being one of them. However, the ones that have all pretty much said the same things. Inside gondolas, you're going to wear masks. There'll be social distancing in restaurants with tables being spread out. Normal business as normal on surface lifts and on chair lifts. And the biggest question mark at the moment is over après ski. Will it go ahead? How will it go ahead? And what's it going to look like? And we still don't really have an answer on that one so far. And then the other side of it is the Bergbahn, who run the lifts in each resort. And there is like an overriding kind of Bergbahn authority, let's say, from the WKO. So to give an example, in catering, you have the environmental health to govern what you can do. So the overriding Bergbahn at the WKO, they govern what the Bergbahns can do. And they had a meeting with the government in Vienna, it was about a week or 10 days ago. And the government gave some suggestions and the Bergbahn gave their suggestions. And again, wearing masks in lifts was suggested is going to have to happen. And they talked about, I think the government asked them to restrict the number of people within a ski area, which they have refused to accept. They want to open normal numbers, and it's understandable. But one of the things that was proposed, and this was actually proposed by the guy who is on the board from Schmitten, which is LMZ, and he suggested that lifts should be speeded up because 15 minutes seems to be key for infections.
Right.
And they said if you can speed a gondola up to get the people in and out of the gondola ride under 15 minutes, it should have a positive effect, as well as wearing masks. And that would also mean that you don't have to reduce the number of people in the lift. Now, unfortunately, people have read this wrong. And some people are now saying they're going to speed up the lifts to reduce the lift queues. No, they're not.
No.
Another one was they have recategorized the lifts to become public transport, so they cannot be closed down. But this also is just rubbish. All of the lifts in Austria are public transport. They're not reclassifying anything. And if they need to be closed down, they will get closed down because they got closed down on the 15th of March.
This is me showing my naivety. I just assumed that all lifts went at full speed all the time. Apparently.
Well, this is interesting. And I saw something recently, and I cannot find it again for love nor money on the internet, whether it's been taken away. But and it makes sense because also the thing that's going to happen, if you think about it, if they speed the lifts up, there will be more people on the slopes. At one point than there would be if the lifts were going at the normal speed.
Yes.
And what I've learned recently is ski resorts, the speed of the lifts are governed by the number of people they want on the slopes at any one time.
Yeah.
So you will get resorts that have got high-speed lifts, but they've normally got extremely long, wide runs, like Snowmass in America. Okay, every lift in Snowmass is a high-speed lift, but the acreage is massive. Whereas, let's say Kaprun, even though we've got a lot of acreage, we've not got that much piste, let's say, the lifts actually run at a speed to keep people in the air or on the ground lifts for a space of time so the slopes don't get full.
How about that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's actually the movement of people is controlled to allow the skiing to happen. And therefore, if they do speed the lifts up, yes, we'll be in there for less than 15 minutes where possible, but there will be more people on the slopes. More people on the slopes is probably going to result in more accidents.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, would you rather have COVID or a broken leg?
God.
You know?
Yeah. Well, even if you've got a broken leg, you're going to end up in the hospital next to someone who's got COVID.
Yeah, probably, yeah. So they're some of the main things. As I say, there is this massive question mark over après ski because some of the bars that are situated at the bottom of the mountains and on the mountains that are predominantly après ski bars, 80% of their yearly profit comes from après ski.
Yeah.
And if they have no après ski, then there is going to be no bar left. No. They're going to go bankrupt. Now, I heard a whisper, and this is not fact, it's probably just a thought of somebody else, that the government were going to almost do like a we will bail you out scheme.
Yeah.
If you're not able to open, we'll give you some money. And I don't know if that's true or not. We will wait and see. But this après ski thing seems to be the one thing that we're getting the information on. Pretty much, it's going to be the last bit of information. But what we expect, speaking to bar owners, restaurant owners here in Kaprun, is there will be an element of après ski. It will just not be the party atmosphere of dancing on tables and benches and packed into bars.
Yeah.
It'll be reduced numbers. And again, one of the things that the Berg Barn suggested was après ski should go ahead with reduced numbers in bars, and then the bars close at around 6:37 to disinfect and clean, and then reopen later after everyone's had dinner.
Yeah.
Which is possibly one solution. We will have to wait and see. As it is at the moment, we are seeing a spike in infection rates in Austria, predominantly in Vienna. A lot of it, we believe, is people coming back from holiday. We had a lot of people come back from Croatia. This was just before the UK brought in the quarantine from Austria again. And our figures spiked because of people coming back from Croatia who'd brought it back with them.
Yeah.
But we've seen a continued increase, and I think yesterday, we had something like 600, 700 new cases, which is a lot for Austria.
Yeah.
But that said, we're still only sitting at 3,500 active cases and 760 deaths or something like that. So
yeah, I mean, well, hopefully by the time that this goes out, it will all be solved. But we'll see. But I can't see that. But the thing about this is, I don't know where this big pivot came to with regards to infection numbers, because when all this started, it was about making room in the hospitals, wasn't it? To make sure that the hospitals don't get overwhelmed. And now all of a sudden we're talking about infection numbers, and it just seems this will go on if we keep talking about infection numbers, and which is essentially just a measure of how well your country is set up for testing people, right?
Yeah.
Like we're going to be doing this in perpetuity, aren't we? Like you test for something, you'll find stuff.
Exactly.
The original purpose of all of these businesses that have gone to the wall and all of this other stuff is, we were shutting down to make room for the health services, which were going to be overwhelmed. Well, look, they're not overwhelmed anymore. There's capacity. So at some point, we've got to let everybody free, right, and go about our business. That would be. It seems to be the thing that's been lost in all of this talk about infection numbers now. It's very strange. Yeah. I don't really understand it.
To be fair, here in Austria, since for the last couple of months, we have been able to go about our business. We have to wear a mask in a supermarket, a doctor's surgery, or a chemist in a bank. But other than that, you've been able to pretty much do everything. Dancing apparently is not on the cards, although I do have to say a couple of weeks ago I was dancing.
Cheeky.
Because like I like a badge, I do like a bit of a dance. And it was only the day after that I was told I shouldn't have been dancing. I was like, well, nobody told me not to dance.
It's been very, very similar here in Switzerland. Like, it's been business as usual, really, here, with a bit of maskery. Yeah. And I'm just about okay with that. Tell me, last question for you, really, as our sort of Austrian correspondent. What's with, you live there and you've lived there for some time now. What's with all the eagles? Like, when I went to Austria, you see eagles everywhere. Not like real ones, like images of eagles everywhere. What's that all about? Maybe it's just a mile.
As like on the crests and on the badges and things.
Yeah, like everywhere.
Oh
no! Gotcha.
I've got to be honest and say I don't know why, but I have a very good idea of why, but I wouldn't kind of want to say it in case it's wrong. And
it's like a national symbol or something. Like everyone uses the eagle. I don't know.
Well, we have a lot of eagles. Obviously, we have a lot of eagles flying around. We driving up to the restaurant yesterday. We saw two pairs swooping around. But I will find out. I will find out because I know that obviously on the centre of the ski teacher badge, if you have your stats badge, there is an eagle.
Yeah.
Obviously, our friend Adolf used to be fond of an eagle badge.
Well, they did like an eagle, those guys. But the thing that where I saw it the most, it wasn't in Meyerhofen. There's the other place beginning with M, just down the road from Hintertux. Anyway, it was. I went through there and like all of the main Austrian ski school, big eagle on the doors, like all of the shops, eagle, and I was like, what is these guys?
It is almost a national symbol, and I will find out why, because I have to say, it's one thing that I don't know, although I do know that on all of our flags, on all of our badges, there is a commemorative statue for the Kaiser Franz Joseph down the road, and that is an eagle. Eagle. I'll find out. I will find out.
Listener, if you know what the eagle thing is with the Austrians, we'd love to know. I'm sure someone, Toby will probably just message me and say, hey, this is what it's all about. Andy, if people want to contact you for anything Kaprun related or Snow Camps Europe related, where can they find you?
So, website is snowcampseu.com. If people want to email me, it's info@snowcampseu.com. Mm-hmm. We are very active on Facebook, and again, it's Camps EU on Facebook, and I go live probably on average through the season 3 or 4 times a week, through the off season maybe twice, normally when I'm walking my dog in the morning, because people seem to be very interested in the dog and not always what I'm saying. So I do that anyway. If anything comes up that is... I think is of interest, then I will jump on at any time of the day and do a live about an update, whether it be COVID or lifts or snow. Yeah. And then once a week, I also, through the season, post a snow report on YouTube. Again, just put Snow Camps Europe into YouTube and you'll find, I think we've got 400 or so videos on there now. Right. And then also, Sunday evenings, most Sunday evenings, on the Sunday Ski Cast at 8 p.m. Central European time, so 7 o'clock UK time, I will be asking the questions to somebody from the ski industry, or I will be asking the viewers questions to somebody from the ski industry. Most Sundays, definitely every Sunday during the season, and most Sundays during the off season. So yeah, there are a few places that you can find me. And if you are coming to Kaprun, let me know, because you can buy me a beer. Yeah,
right. Officially sanctioned après ski safe beer.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, after we've been for a ski.
Yes, absolutely. Cool. Andy, thank you so much for taking the time this evening. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And I wish you all the very best of luck with the season to come.
Thank you very much. Same back to you guys in Switzerland. And yeah, thanks, as I said at the beginning, thanks for having me on. And it's been a great chat.
All right, cool.